backlash from their base. They'd be more than willing to do it. They know it's the right thing to do to open up the government, but they're scared to death of the backlash from the radicals in the Democrat Party. Another person said enough Democrats would vote to reopen the government, quote, if people were not terrified of getting the guillotine. You know what that means. When they're more scared of their own party's base, you talk about profiles in courage, that's what we're experiencing. And maybe the worst was this, because the speaker's gone over and over with some of the different states and the pain it's causing, not just here in Washington, but all around the country. In every state, there is real pain being inflicted. People that aren't sure if they're going to get another paycheck if they're working for the federal government. And there's a state, Georgia, that has a number of military bases, a lot of other federal workers. NIH is headquartered in the state of Georgia. And what is one of their senators, Senator Ossoff, thinking about all this? Another Democrat said, Senator Ossoff's calculation is, quote, do I vote to open the government up and get crushed and can't raise a single dollar of low dollar money? Or do I vote to shut the government down and get $3 million from online fundraising? That's disgusting. Senator Ossoff is more concerned about getting low dollar donations from maybe some donor in California who's going to click on an email and give him $100 for his reelection. And so he's causing suffering on tens of thousands of people in his home state of Georgia. Senator Ossoff ought to send that tainted, dirty money back if he's raised $3 million off of the shutdown, off of the suffering he's caused, just so that he can get some more money from radicals around the country. Go look at his finance report during the shutdown. The low-dollar donations that he's more concerned about getting than opening up the government, which is the right thing to do, because they're scared to death of their base, because they want to keep getting low-dollar donations from the most radical members of the Democrat Party. That's what this is about. And we've been saying it, but now that Hill article truly exposed it, with anonymous senators finally speaking freely, with other Democrat aides admitting what's really going on their side. And when they asked the speaker, gee whiz, is there something else you can offer? What is there to offer to a party who's so morally corrupt and bankrupt that they're willing to sell out the American people because they're either scared of their base or they want to just keep getting low-dollar donations from donors around the country who are rooting for chaos for America, who want to undermine this country? That's what's going on here. And the American people are figuring it out. People in Georgia are figuring it out. They know why they're seeing the suffering, and their own two senators are voting for that suffering, and now you know why. It's laid out in full display for everybody to see. We're here ready to get back to the people's work for all the American people, not just for some far-left radical base who's holding the Democrat Party in D.C. hostage. Finally show some courage, some moral clarity. All we need is 5 senators to stand up and do the right thing. And it's long past time they do it. Now our whip. Time Emmer.
Welcome to day 21 of the Democrats' shutdown, where Democrats have now voted 12 times against funding our government. Why is that? I'm going to read the same quotes from those anonymous Democrats. People are going to get hammered if they vote for the House-passed bill. A second person familiar with the political dynamics said centrist senators are fearful of breaking with leaders while party activists are planning the anti-Trump rallies. Another one, we would have enough votes to reopen the government if people were not terrified, as Steve and both Mike have pointed out, of getting the guillotine. Another Democrat strategist said the main driver is fundraising, which Steve just went over. Do I vote to open the government up and get crushed and can't raise a single dollar of low dollar money? I mean, It's amazing, Steve. This is what it's all about. And this is what everybody in this room should be reporting every single day. They should be held accountable for this type of behavior because it is having serious consequences all across the country. Real Americans are getting hurt while these political elites in the defunct Democrat Party are playing political games. Border Patrol agents are being forced to go without mission-critical funding. Low-income families, nutrition assistance benefits like SNAP and WIC are being jeopardized, all so these Democrats can appease their radical pro-terrorist wing. That is what they are. You saw it, and anybody who wants to push back, then they should disavow any connection to people who are calling for the death of any elected official, let alone the President of the United States, which they seem to be fine with, or this Attorney General candidate in Virginia. They won't even do that. This is a party without a message, without a leader, and without a future at this point. They are well on their way to being left on the ash heap of history. It's despicable, and it's downright wrong. We've got news for Chuck Schumer and the soon-to-be former leader of the Democrats in the House. Your Hate America rally is over. It's past time for you to stop thinking about yourselves and start thinking about the people that you were hired to serve. The American people are not and should not be pawns in your shutdown games, and they should not be forced to suffer just so you can play politics here in Washington, D.C. Put an end to this madness, pass our clean CR, and let's reopen this government immediately. Our conference chair.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Mr. Comer, for being here. Again, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, right? Our side, a lot of facts. The other side, more headlines than anything, right? Press the other side on the facts, because the facts speak for themselves, no different than Chairman Comer laid out with all the work that he's doing, and transparency, right? It's been 1 month since House Republicans passed a bill to keep your government open. And how did Democrats celebrate? Well, they partied with communists and socialists who hate America, right? While Democrats were marching with their radical mobs, Republicans were actually meeting with Americans, listening, helping, and working. Let me give you a few examples. Congressman Ciscomani visited a food bank helping families with food insecurity. Congressman Rick Allen stood with veterans left in limbo by the Democrats' political games. And Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis thanked U.S. Park police officers while they worked without pay. That's the contrast. Because as the leadership team behind me said, I'm sure those low dollar amounts that they're raising, they're probably giving those monies back to the food banks and those people, right? No, they're putting it in their pockets. Republicans are working to help constituents navigate the chaos Democrats created when they chose to shut down the government. And the government and a shutdown should never be used for more wasteful spending. Democrats are performing for their radical audience. We see it time and time again. One side shows up for the American people. The other side shows off for their social media. The bottom line is this: Democrats are not fighting for you. They're fighting for the most radical 1% of their base, and of course, that low-dollar fundraising number. They're also leveraging the shutdown to demand $1.5 trillion in wasteful spending, climate pet projects in foreign countries, and health care for illegals. But Republicans won't cave. We won't fund the waste, fraud, and the abuse that the Democrats so violently and vehemently advocate for. We won't hand your tax dollars to illegals. Those are your tax dollars. And we won't let radicals dictate America's future. So it's time for the Democrats to wrap up the photo shoots and end the who's more radical contest and vote to reopen the government. Let's get the government reopened for our troops. Let's get the government reopened for our families. And let's get the government reopened for the American people. Thank you.
Questions? Far right, yes, sir.
Yeah, the CR is only one way to fund the government, and some of your members are kind of uncomfortable with being out on recess for a month. So why not bring everybody back, work through the appropriations that you haven't passed yet, and sort of do an end run around Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, 99.5% of the House Republicans understand exactly what we're doing. They agree with it. We talk regularly. We'll have another conference call later today. They have been out doing very essential, very important work in their districts, and their constituents appreciate that. I mean, they've been everywhere because, as Chairwoman McLean said, they've got to help cover the bases for the crisis that's been created by the Democrats. Now, the calculus and the strategy on when I bring everybody back, people have said, are you going to change your strategy? And I've said to you all very plainly in good faith, we don't have a political strategy here. I don't have a strategy. We're just trying to do the right thing. We did what has been customary here and passed a simple CR. Again, this is really important, and it should be a headline in your journals as well. This is the first time in history that any party has shut down the government over a clean CR. It's a clean CR. That's the whole thing. There's nothing much more we can do. With regard to appropriations, the House Appropriations Committee has done its work. They got all 12 of the bills through committee, bipartisan fashion, by the way. Got them through committee. Now we got 3 off the floor. Senate got 3 off the floor. They don't match exactly, so they're going to conference committee. The appropriators are working during this period when we're not here on the floor. They're working and coordinating amongst themselves across the aisle and across chambers to get the next batch of appropes ready and teed up for House passage. As soon as we get back to regular legislative session, we look forward to doing that, and the clock is ticking. Remember this as well. The CR was set to November 21st. Was that a random date? No, that date was chosen by Republicans and Democrat appropriators, decided upon to allow for 7 additional weeks so they could finish the job that you just asked about. Right now, the great irony is the Democrats who say they want everything to be done, they are the ones that are eating up the clock. They're preventing that very thing from happening. So many of you have asked me in the hallway, is November 21st going to allow enough time? That's becoming a very dicey prospect right now because we need every single day. Now, the appropriators are working right now. As we speak, they're working on it. I myself have spoken to appropriators in the Senate on the Democrat side. I mean, we're trying to prepare this work and to get it done as soon as possible, but it is true that the pressure gets turned up every day of the calendar that's eaten up by the Democrats' political nonsense. Back row, yes, sir, on the best. No, terrible. That's the first I've heard of that. I don't know anything about it. But anybody who threatens to kill any political official, we denounce it absolutely. They ought to have justice fall upon their head. All right? How about that? Yes, sir. Second row right here.
Thank you, sir. The Senate has sort of had this will they, won't they relationship with a Russia sanctions bill that has overwhelming bipartisan support. Would you like to see the Senate have a more accelerated timeline? And if they pass it during the shutdown, would you bring the House back to vote on it?
Well, I don't anticipate it'll be passed during the shutdown, but there is a big appetite among Republicans, House and Senate, I can tell you, for tough sanctions on Russia. The president, as you know, you can take him at his own word, he's lost his patience with Putin. He's not a good faith operator. Obviously, he's the aggressor in an unjust war, and it needs to end. The president's using every leverage point he has to bring that a resolution, bring an end to that war that's killed so many people and cost so much money, and it's just been a terrible thing. Everybody on the world stage, I talked to my colleagues, my counterparts, the speakers of the various parliaments of the other free countries, the G7 and others, and everybody's unified on this. Everybody wants this to end. President Trump's the only strong enough figure on the world stage who has a chance of doing that. And you know he's bent over backwards to make it happen. Now, what we need right now is we need good faith on the part of Russia and Ukraine, that they would come to the table to work on a diplomatic solution to bring this to an end. The president's trying to force that in every way he can. The Republicans in Congress are ready to provide support for that, and any leverage that we can, including sanctions, we're open to, and we'll see how that develops.
Last question.
For sure.
Mr. Speaker, getting back to the threat to Hakeem Jeffries, this is one of a number of individuals who were pardoned as a result of January 6th who who have been rearrested on various charges. Did President Trump make a mistake by just offering up a blanket pardon for every single person that was convicted as a result of
I don't know any of the details of this at all. I don't know who's been alleged to have been involved in this. I will say that anybody who threatens political violence against elected officials or anyone else should be have the full weight and measure of the Department of Justice on their head. I trust that that'll happen. I hope it will. We are intellectually consistent about that, obviously. I will tell you this. The violence on the left is far more prevalent than the violence on the right. Don't make me go through the list. You all know it. All of these the assassination culture that's been advanced now, this is the left in almost every case that is advancing this and not the right. So let's not make it a partisan issue. You don't want me to go there. We're just going to say anybody, any deranged individual, this has to stop. And the rhetoric that you saw on display on Saturday, we highlighted yesterday, it plays into this, okay? There are people that get triggered. There are deranged people in society when they hear elected officials participating in a rally that was paid for by Soros and sponsored by communists, with signs and placards and mantras that were repeated that we should bring death to, fascist politicians. What they mean is they call every Republican a fascist now. They're calling for the death of elected officials. Please, enough of that. We got to stop it. Stop the rhetoric, stop all the nonsense, and stop the violence.
Thank you.
Look, I'm not going to address it because I'm not sure of the details of this, and I think we've said enough. You know where we stand, and every one of you should stand there the same way. We denounce violence from anybody, anytime. Those people should be arrested and tried. Thanks.
Should the president have bipartisan negotiations to end the shutdown? Why isn't he involved?